it's always fun looking back,
Yeah.
talking about, how great it was or how crappy it was, but it sucks when you're in the middle of it. Dude, we ended up getting a ham because she got the bird too late and it wasn't thawed.
Oh, no. Hey guys, this is actually a pre-intro to the intro, and the reason I'm doing this is because 180drums.com is having a deal right now. So here's the deal. We're giving away a free pair of Regal tip drumsticks with every subscription model, no strings attached. All you have to do is sign up for a month at $19.95. So essentially, you're paying $19.95, you're getting a month of drum lessons with the best drummers in the world with several hundred video lessons. And we're going to send you a free pair of Regal Tip drumsticks. Actually, Regal Tip themselves is going to do that, and it's going to be branded. It's got our 180 Drums logo on it, so we're super excited to partner with these guys. And there's more. We've actually added new tier options as well. So with the 1 month option, you'll get a free pair of sticks. If you sign up for 6 months, you'll get a free pair of sticks, and you'll save on 1 month worth of lessons. So there's already some savings built into that option. And we've got the 1 year option for $180, which is like paying for just 9 months, and you get 3 months free on the house. So guys, head over. I know I just said house like a Canadian, but that's what's up, guys. We're super excited. Now here's the real intro. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 180 Drums podcast. I am your host, Jake Nicole, and in today's episode, we are hanging out with my man, Ben Satterlee. Ben is a Nashville drummer who made his way to Nashville from Tulsa, and we're going to get into all this stuff today. We're going to really talk about how he's, transitioned from the place that he was to where he is today. We're also going to get really deep into the struggles and what he likes to call the dark place, the abyss, the struggle and the challenge, and the darkness that wants to overtake you anytime you decide to pick up your life, move it somewhere, and chase your dreams. So I hope that you guys are, and I know that you will be, incredibly encouraged by today's podcast and today's message. And I'm really excited to hear what you guys think. All the info, all the show notes is going to be held at 180drums.com/Ben Satterlee. BenSatterlee. So Satterlee with 2 T's and 2 E's. If you go to the website there, you're going to see a ton of amazing pictures, tons of gear so that we can nerd out, because Ben and I actually don't talk about gear until the very end of the conversation. So we get into some pretty heavy stuff, but we're going to talk about gear. We're going to talk about tons of different, concepts that I think are going to be really helpful for you guys. But head to that page, check it out, because Ben wants to chat with you guys. He's opened himself up to creating conversation, and at 180 Drums, that's our goal, is to connect you guys with drummers that we think are amazing drummers that have made themselves accessible to the everyday drummer. So I digress. Without further ado, Ben Satterlee. Guys, welcome to the podcast. We've got Ben Satterlee on the show. I'm looking at his face right now. What's going on?
What's up, dude?
Man, let me just start by saying it's so great to have you. Everyone got to hear that awesome intro off the top. But man, it's so great having Ben on the show, guys, because Ben is one of the funniest guys I know. He loves SpongeBob, which I've already...
Dude.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Bro,
come on.
Dude, 16 years that show's been on.
16 years.
16 years. That's job security
you watched
right there.
Every year.
Every episode, every movie.
Wow. Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, dude, it's so great having you on, man. We're going to go through a ton of stuff today, but if you were introduce yourself right now, what's something that you'd want to share that right off the top you'd want people to know about you?
Man, I'm a pretty easygoing dude. I love playing music. I'm not necessarily like a genre snob per se. I like a little bit of everything. My big thing is I want to be known as, I guess, a supportive musician. That guy that's just like, yeah, Ben's there, so we're good. That would ultimately that'd be the ultimate legacy for me, musically speaking.
Wow, that's great, man. I think that's cool because it's such a mature response, right? Like that's the goal is to be a good musician, and almost the whole heard not seen thing, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'd totally be okay with being behind a curtain while playing the shows. That would be fine by me. I think Tim McGraw did that with his new drummer on the very first tour. He was behind this red screen, and I'd be like, that'd be awesome.
There you go, just to be playing.
Dude, well, when I was doing theater, I was in the pit. No one saw me, and I was totally fine with that. It was great.
Yeah, and now, I mean, technology's so advanced, we've got dudes like 3 floors above the musical that's going on downstairs.
Yeah, yeah. One of the drummers on Broadway played for a production called Kinky Boots. He's like way up in the rafters and has his own like baffled room. It's crazy. So like, not even you couldn't even hear anything except for through ears and through the monitor. It's pretty gnarly. I never got that crazy.
Now,
But,
are you talking about Chris Sutherland?
is that his name? He's I don't remember his name.
Right now, the current guy playing for Kinky Boots is actually based here out of Toronto. Hey, Chris, if you're listening.
Okay, was it a bald dude?
Yeah, that's right. I think. Well,
that might be him.
Chris, sorry if you've still got a little bit of hair, man, but yeah.
yeah, that might be him. I saw like an issue of Modern Drummer that broke down his kit, I think, and it was pretty cool. Like I'm like that. I mean, it looks really, really neat. You know.
So cool, man. Yeah, so cool.
Yeah.
So, guys, musicality. We're going to chat about musicality with Ben. There's a number of things we're going to get into. But the first thing I want to ask you, Ben, is I would love you to share. This is something that you shared when you visited 180 Drums last year. But why don't you share the origin of your first drum set?
Yeah. Actually, it's a really interesting story. So I was maybe, 11, 12 years old. And I'd never had a drum kit before. And we were up at the barbershop, which was, a high water mark for everyone in my neighborhood. We were just hanging out, And this guy walked in and was saying how he used to play at church up on the north side of town. I was like, oh, yeah, I play drums, which is a lie. I mean, I liked drums. I had played on some drums, but I didn't own any. And I sure as heck couldn't play a beat. But he's like, oh, cool. So he got my number, and we didn't hear anything from him for like probably 2 months. And then randomly he calls my mom and says, hey, we met at the barbershop. Which one is your house? What's your address? And he shows up with this Percussion Plus drum kit that he bought me. He helps me set it up. And then I never hear from him again.
Oh.
Like, yeah, I mean, this kit, it smelled so bad. It had some dude's laundry in it. Like it had like 3 or 4 shirts in each tom, but oh, dude, I loved that kit, man. And I gigged with that kit for probably 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
But it was the craziest thing. Like he's like, I felt like God told me to buy you this kit, and then I never heard from him again.
Amazing, dude. I love that story. I love that story because up until that point, you had been playing. Was it just at your church that you had been playing?
Not even there, because I mean, I went to one of those churches that had like 7 or 8 older drummers
right.
that were all just in line with sticks. Like they would all literally sit along where the drummer was at with their sticks, just like ready to be called up. And so I'm like, well, what's the point? I mean, I'm going to be a bench warmer, obviously.
Right.
I was like 11th string. So yeah, it was one of those things where I was never really able to play in church. So I was playing in clubs at like 13, 14 years old.
Amazing. And what were some of the first musical experiences you were having? Like, what was the genre?
Reggae and calypso, believe it or not.
I love this story, man. It's so cool.
So I was in 8th grade, and the high school I ended up going to in Tulsa was called Booker T. Washington. And they had a insane marching band called the High Step and T Connection Band, it was drumline before drumline. It was so dope. And so I was practicing on my book, and this guy walks up from the Caribbean, real slick dude named John. He's like, oh, you say you play the drums? And yeah, he's like, oh, cool. He's from Antigua with a real thick accent. And so once again, he takes down my number, and I'm like, okay, cool. About a week or so later, he calls my mom and says, hey, I got a family band. We play steel drums. Can your son play? And so I'm like, yes, Mom, I can play. Tell him I can play. And so he comes over, meets my mom. He talks with her for about 30 minutes. Coming to find out, he lives like 2 blocks down. So we load up my drums. He takes me over to the house. I meet his whole family, his wife, Avro, his sons, his sister-in-law, and they all play steel drum. So he was actually a world champion in Antigua, and he actually made the 40-gallon drums that his wife played. The basses, He actually made those himself. He hammered them out in his backyard. It was amazing. And so he played the rhythm, and I was just so stoked to be there. And then he showed me how to play a calypso beat, and then a basic reggae. And the next day we were playing at the Ponca City Herb Festival.
Wow, dude. Guys, this is a joke that I'm remembering now that I had about you, Ben, is I called you the historian when you were at 180 Drums because you remember everything. You just remember like the name of the venue, you know.
Well, how ironic. I mean, a bunch of dudes wearing pineapple shirts playing reggae at the Herb Festival.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, come on. But it was so funny. But the funny thing is, man, I played with those guys for like off and on for like a decade. Wow. Like well into my 20s. I would still get a call, "Hey Ben, can you come and play?" And I would still know all the songs because I mean that's in my heart, man. I can still to this day, play a soca gig for 3-4 hours, no problem. But at that time, I had no endurance, so I would actually have them put a drum machine on when I got too tired to keep playing.
Oh wow!
So it was do ba do ba do ba do ba, and then it would just speed it up to whatever tempo we were at, and then I just go like, I don't know, get a snow cone or something.
That's hilarious, man. Oh, isn't it so cool that you kept your roots, man? That's really special.
Yeah, dude. Even to this day, man. Like whenever I get to play reggae or anything like island infused, or even just listen to it, it just gives me a big old smile because that's the earliest music I ever got to be a part of. And it's a really rich history too.
Wow, cool, man. Okay, so let's shift gears. What kind of music are you playing nowadays? What is life like in Nashville?
Okay, right now I'm playing whatever is paying. But
Great
I mean,
answer.
it's obviously Nashville, so it's mostly country. I do a lot of indie stuff in the session scene where we're talking, really dry, dark cymbals, brushes, dynamic, weird, alternative sounds. And then when I do play out, it's I've actually kind of gotten known as the guy that can do the percussion stuff as well. Not necessarily heavy, conga or nothing, but cajon, and then I sing background. So I'm just trying to like texturally blend and provide support while singing in the background as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. This is something that we delved into in our podcast with Rich Redmond as well. That'll be available shortly. Might already be available by the time this one's out. But he talks a lot about the importance of learning how to play percussion. I mean, what are your thoughts, man?
Man, it's funny, man. In town, at least, the consensus is that percussion is played out. Like, if that's not all you do, don't bother doing it. Which, I mean, is the same mindset a lot of people have with double bass. Like, I'm a single pedal guy, have been all my life. At the same time, I have the utmost respect for people that can do it, and especially the ones that can do it well.
Yeah.
Me personally, I started doing percussion out of necessity. I was playing with a regional band back in Oklahoma. They said, "Oh, you got a cajon, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got a cajon." I didn't have a cajon. "You play cajon, right?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
I never played it.
Shoot.
So, but I'm not going to turn down work. So I went and snagged a cheap cajon and bloodied up my hands to do it. But man, over time, I really worked at it, and then moving here, there's a really well-known studio and live drummer named Tommy Hardin, who has been a very big influence and very big help on me since moving to town. And he does all of his own percussion in the studio. And like his overdubbing skills are disgusting. Like one pass conga, one pass shaker, tambo, and he knows exactly what will sit where in the mix. And I was playing behind him one day, and he was wanting me to play like quarter notes at, I don't know, 60 BPMs with an egg shaker. I'm like, "Tommy, this is impossible." He's like, "Benj." He calls me Benj. I don't know why. I said, "Benj, hand me the shaker." And he just does this perfect, and I was so bummed when I left because I'm like, I just got my butt handed to me by an egg shaker, man. So amazing. I started doing shaker shedding in my car. I got a couple egg shakers from Forks, and when I was driving, I'd put on whatever's on the radio and practice.
Oh, I love the story. This is something else we did talk about.
16 notes. Yeah, man. Because it all is a part of it. Yeah. If you're in the studio, chances are they're not going to be able to get a percussionist to come in. And, for an extra fee, I can just do the percussion and the kit.
Yeah.
So it's made me more money. So I have a whole bag of toys, and I Tambourine, I practiced it. Shaker, the different types, the egg shaker versus like the longer minor ones, different techniques. But yeah, percussion's a huge part of it, man. And you can work all the time if you're able to do one or the other.
Yeah, man, this is amazing. There's so many directions I want to take this, but something I want to ask right away. How do you find percussion's affected your drum set playing? Has it?
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe in that when I'm playing percussion, I'm thinking either completely bare bones if I'm playing on top of a beat, or if it's by myself, am I having to just provide a pulse, or am I really wanting to, or are they really wanting me to comp everything? For example, I could play a more African type rhythm where I'm, not necessarily doing boom, ba, boom, boom, ba. I might be going do boom, where I'm comping like the ghost notes as well.
Right.
It's not necessarily African rhythm, but like there's a lot of stuff going on. And in an ensemble, there's like, 8 or 9 different parts. So if I'm playing, a kick and a snare pattern, also comping while playing tambourine with my left foot, and maybe, a shaker or something with my right hand, depending on where in the song we are, it can really fill up a space sonically, especially with something just like an acoustic guitar or a keyboard, So one of the things I ask is, okay, what exactly are you wanting? Are you wanting just a basic pulse? Because I can do that, no problem. If they're wanting me to really fill up the space, then let's go,
Yeah, that's
and
great.
I'm comfortable in both of those. But when I transition from that to kit, I go back to kit going, okay, now I've done that and I've seen what they like. So now that I'm doing kit, I can use the information I've already gathered and translate it, saying, okay, I really just need to lay it down. Or they're wanting me to play a little bit more because there's not that much.
Right. Amazing. Now, for anyone listening who's going, man, I want to get more hip, Ben. I want to learn more about percussion and great percussionists. Who would you recommend?
Well, you got to start back with the Latin players, man. Tito Puente, Mongo Santa Maria. Obviously, like everyone knows who Giovanni is. He's the reigning king of congas. But before that, there was a long, proud tradition dating back 60, 70 years, even to seriously, am I blanking? Walfredo Reyes Sr. He was one of the first guys to put together Latin percussion and Latin drumming, where he was actually playing like a basic pattern with his right hand and comping the conga with his left hand. He was the inventor of the left foot clave. Like that dude invented it.
Wow.
Before that, it was just one guy playing the clave, one guy playing the bongo, one playing the bongo bell, and so on and so forth. And he was the reason why we have what's called Latin drumming now. Before it was just Latin players individually. He brought it all together. As far as the modern cats are concerned, Daniel De Los Reyes out with Zach Brown Band is unbelievable on percussion. His hands are disgusting. And I actually got the opportunity to meet that dude, which was really cool. Alex Acuna, obviously, Giovanni, the late, great Raul Racao that played with Santana off and on for like 40 years. There's just so many killer players, man. And not just in the Latin world, in the African tradition, Babatunde was the dude that basically introduced African drumming to the world. And on top of that, you just have all these modern guys that have taken it to the next level. Leon Mobley, who plays with Nas, who plays with Damian Marley, and he's most famous for playing with Ben Harper in the Innocent Criminals. He studied under Babatunde. Phenomenal modern percussionist because he's taken all those African stuff, he's taken all the Latin stuff, and he just kind of made this nice little gumbo. But there's a lot of really killer stuff, man, out there. And it's all down to just practicing. Just start.
Yeah.
You don't have to have all these books. You just get you a solid cajon. I suggest the box kit cajon, which I use, and just go out there and start playing. At the minimum, you can provide a kick and a snare pattern.
Yeah. Guys,
you know what I mean?
I hope that you just saw what just happened, because Ben just in one, 3-minute vamp completely proved why he's the historian. Like, he just went on a rampage. I asked one question. I love it. So guys, this is why you will for sure see Ben as one of the curators in Modern Drummer one day or something, because he knows it all. Ben Satterlee knows it all. Okay. That's great, man. That's awesome. So such good insight into that. There's a lot of names to check out, and you guys can see that all in the show notes if you head to 180drums.com/Ben Satterlee, Satterlee.
Yeah, just two E's.
There you go. I had to say it again because you guys got to go there and check out this list that we're forming of drummers as we talk. I love it. Okay, cool. So, man, let's go through your journey to Nashville, because we actually met at a pretty funny time, or a particular time in your life, where you were making the move. And why don't you talk about what it was like to move from Nashville, and, you know, talk about moving from Tulsa and your experience, man.
Well, okay, so let me start back in Tulsa. Tulsa was an amazing place to grow up. And I was always surrounded by music because church was there. And then my mom always had music in the house. And my earliest experience with drums was when I was 4 years old. I saw a music video. Do you remember the band Whiteheart?
Yeah, of course.
Dude, yeah. Okay, so in Tulsa in the early 90s, Carmen, who was the reigning king of Christian music at the time, was based there. So there was a steady stream of CCM artists coming like every couple of months because he was there, and it was just like this weird hub. So out of that, I saw a music video for this band called Whiteheart. And I can still see the video now. I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube. It's called Unchain Me. It's just cheesy keys at the beginning, black and white, out in the middle of the forest. And then all of a sudden you hear this sick power tom fill, and it opens up to the drummer, John Knox. And he was black too, with, you know, shaved sides of the head, dreads pulled back, pearl power toms. It was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. And I remember just going, what the heck? You know, it was so cool. And years later, I got to meet him and tell him how cool it was. But it was actually Chris Mchugh on the track.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Because that was his first band, was Whiteheart.
Chris Mchugh, I mean, guys, we got to stop almost just for 1 second and say how amazing Chris Mchugh is.
He's the dude in Nashville, man. I'm friends with Ron Dennett. And when Ron came down to hang out and he went to the Nashville Drummers Jam, he's like, dude, I didn't realize how big of a deal Chris Mchugh is here. I'm like, oh, dude, yeah. He's the reigning, you know.
Now, for anyone who's never heard Ben, anyone who's like, wait a minute, who's Chris Mchugh? And we're going to very patiently describe him to them.
Yes.
What would you say?
He is a powerhouse of a drummer, man. He started with Whiteheart in the 80s to the early 90s, and that's what transitioned him to Nashville. From there, he started doing session work, pretty much exclusively for about a decade or more. And then when he finally got back out, it was to be the MD and drummer for Keith Urban. And he had that gig up until last year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but other than that, he's played on freaking everything. Like, he's the studio guy in town. What Eddie Bayers and Paul Lime used to be doing as far as, you know, keeping their busy schedules, now that they've retired, he's taken over the reins as the guy. He's one of the big 3 or 4 in Nashville that tracks on everything.
Man, killer drummer, and even gear-wise, like the Craviotto drums that he uses are just ridiculous.
Oh, they're so pretty.
They're so pretty.
They're so pretty.
Same with his Sabian cymbals. He's got like, I think he uses a lot of the darker stuff in the prototypes, and they're just all so pretty. Yeah,
and just so expensive too.
So expensive and pretty.
Yeah. One of those rides is like $700, man. But they sound great.
Tell you what, they're not for him. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. I don't think it's funny. You get to that level where you're, you know, big balling that hard, and then you get it for free anyways.
Yeah, I know. It's hilarious. And you don't care, right? You get it and you don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Okay, very, very cool. So you're in Nashville. We got off on the Chris Mchugh trail because we were talking about Whitehorse and your experience. So Whiteheart. Sorry, dude. Look at me. Yeah, White Stallion. White Stallion. Yeah.
So back to Tulsa. So fast forward. I have my kit. I'm plugged in. I'm gigging. I gig pretty much with that steel drum band and a couple top 40 bands up until 21. And I get accepted to Berkeley out of high school, but I don't end up going. I end up having this feeling that I'm not supposed to go. So I just throw myself in the deep end. I'm taking theater gigs where I can barely read sheet music. I'm doing top 40 gigs. I'm doing rock gigs, jazz trio gigs, anything and everything. And there was actually a pretty happening jazz scene back then, which helped me kind of get out of my really hard bashing phase because I had to get, touch. Because if there's a dude eating steak 5 feet from your ride cymbal, you have to know how to pull the sounds out without completely killing his dinner.
Yeah.
So, about the age of 21, 22, I'd already gotten some touring experience, but I was really kind of feeling like what I was wanting to do, I was going to max out in Tulsa really quickly. And I don't say that to be arrogant. I say that to mean like there wasn't much opportunity. And so if you wanted to really do anything, you had to be a jack of all trades. One of my mentors back in Tulsa was this guy named Arthur Thompson, who was the dude in town. He was a lefty, and he played African drums. He played Latin percussion. He did jazz. He did funk. He did hip hop. He did R&B, and he would teach on top of all this. So he was constantly playing, and he would just take me. One day he'd call me up on like a Friday. He's like, "Hey, youngster, what are you doing?" I said, "Oh, nothing." He's like, "What are you doing tomorrow?" "Nothing." He's like, "All right, cool. I'm gonna be at your house at 9:00. "For what?" He's like, "Don't worry about it. Just show up."
Wow.
So he would call and say, "Hey, I'm outside," and I'd come out. He's like, "Okay, cool. We're gonna go play for 3 hours at the Tulsa Zoo."
Wow, cool, man.
So I was getting mentored under this amazing percussionist, and he would say, "Okay, cool. Let's play in 5." And that'd be that. He would pull out some African, percussion, and he'd say, "Okay, cool. You're going to be on the Ashikos today. You're going to be playing the Junjun. You're going to be playing this, or you're going to play the congas. I'm going to play this stuff." And we just jam, and then you throw a couple bucks in my pocket, and you drop me back off.
Wow, amazing.
So I was getting mentored on how to do a little bit of everything.
Is there anyone that you're mentoring now?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I wouldn't say like I'm a mentor. I try to help out when I can. There's a newer guy that's moved to town that I've kind of taken a special interest in. I've been talking with him for years since he was back in Indiana, and I kind of told his parents that I would, do my best to make sure that he was able to, get taken care of. And his name's Mike, and he's a great dude.
Mike Lester.
What's
Mike?
Going
on? He's part of the 180 family, man.
Of course he is. Yeah, and dude, he's a great guy. And when he first moved to town, he was a little bit worried about how the finances thing was going to work because he's never really had to deal with his finances by himself. And I said, "Okay, cool. How much is your overhead a month?" He told me. I was like, "Oh, dude, that's easy. We got you. So you don't have to flip burgers. You can just do 5 or 6 gigs, and you're square."
Easy.
So, him and maybe a couple of the people online that have just kind of, reach out to me, but probably not anybody else. I'm too busy being mentored by everyone else. I'm just trying to soak up all the stuff I can.
That's right, man. Cool. Well, dude, just so you know, I think it's cool that you're so humble because you are totally a mentor, and there's people listening to this right now that are going to walk away and have a changed perspective on, how to chase their dreams. So let's keep going with the story of you moving to Nashville. So you're in Tulsa. You've got an awesome mentor at the time. When's the transition phase? How old are you at this time?
Let's say I'm about 21 at this time. And one of the things I started to do a couple years earlier was listen to country. Just out of, and a thing I've been doing since I was 13 was I would look online of who the drummers were of the styles that I was digging. So my longest mentor is a guy named Herman Matthews, phenomenal groove drummer out in LA. I reached out to him when I was 12 years old because he was the guy on the B8 cymbals pack.
Right.
So I said, "Hi, Mr. Herman. My name's Ben Satterlee, and I saw that you're coming to town next week with Tom Jones, and I would love to meet you if I could. Thanks. Bye." And so my thing was, ever since I started to realize drumming was something that I was going to be passionate about, I was reaching out to the guys that were heavy. So I did that with Herman. I did that with Jericho Watson with the Victor Wooten Band, who's was and is still a huge, massive influence on me. So fast forward to 2021, I start doing that with country guys. There was an issue of Modern Drummer back in 2005 with a drummer named Trey Gray. Playing a 4-piece kit, crash ride hats. In my journey to try to find more info about him, I found Road Dogg Online, which was the precursor to all the drum podcasts, to all the stuff you see online. He was the first one doing it. He was interviewing drummers as it happened while they were on the road together.
Cool.
With Tracy Broussard, who plays Blake Shelton. So fast forward to 21, I reach out to Tracy and says, "Hey, man, you're coming to Joplin. Can I come hang? I'd love to just pick your brain about what you're doing. He's like, oh yeah, man, cool, no problem. He's a real hip dude from Louisiana.
Cool.
So I go up to Joplin and we hang out all day. I kick it with them. I eat with them. I even tech for him that night on stage.
Oh, wow.
Like he was just the coolest dude. So after it, I'm helping him tear it down. He's like, oh man, this is great. Hey, you play the same drums as this other drummer, Keith Zabrowski, that plays with Miranda. He's coming to Oklahoma City next month. I'm going to tell him y'all should hang.
Wow.
So fast forward next month, Oklahoma City, I'm hanging out with Keith. Who are they opening up for? Brooks and Dunn. Who's playing for Brooks and Dunn? Trey freaking Gray.
Come on.
So I'm getting to hang out on stage right behind Trey's kit. I'm on stage in front of 20,000 people. No one can see me, but I'm on stage. And then I get to hang out with Trey afterwards, and he's just the nicest guy. He still is such a massive influence on me. And I just talked to him a couple days ago. And so it was just, I started to see all these guys and how dope the hang was, man. Like all these country guys, like the hang that trumps everything. And so for me, I was looking at New York, but I don't have a thick enough skin to be in New York. I just couldn't do it. I'm too nice. I would feel like I just get butt hurt all the time. LA terrifies me because it's so big and it's so fast, and there's so many people that are just now getting the recognition they deserve, and they've been here 20 years.
Right.
So Nashville seemed to be the obvious choice. There's still a lot of live music. The people there are great. And so I started talking with my wife, saying, what do you think? She's like, yeah, let's freaking do it. We don't have any kids. We didn't have any kids at the time. We just had our dog.
Yeah.
And she was like, I'm not really digging my job. And at the time, work was starting to slow down. And honestly, I felt like it was God kind of saying, here's your shot.
Right.
So I gave the band I was playing with 2-3 months notice. And I said, all right, we're dipping out in November. And my wife was like, okay, cool, let's go. So we started selling off extra stuff and selling off extra gear I didn't need. And we made the move, man.
Wow. So you get to town. You arrive in Nashville. Who do you know? Like, how do you get your first gig? What do you do?
Dude, I actually knew a lot of people before I moved to town. Just through, as messed up as it sounds, I knew them through Facebook. Like I knew Kevin Murphy through Facebook. I knew Keo Stroud through Facebook. So getting to town, like the third day in town, I go to this thing called the Drummers Jam, and it was a benefit for Jerry Gaskell from King's X, whose house had been wrecked by a hurricane.
Oh man!
And Jerry has influenced a lot of the drummers in town, so they all got together, and the proceeds went to help him, get gear or whatever. And so I got to see all these drummers that I had only ever seen in magazines, like Travis McNabb was there and Miles McPherson was there. And it was really cool because I was just kind of being a fly on the wall, but I still wanted to meet these guys.
Yeah.
And so I found that it actually wasn't that hard to befriend them, like as far as maybe not necessarily become buddies, like hanging out all the time, but at least get comfortable with them knowing who you are.
Yes.
They see your face and they're like, okay, that's Ben, And so, yeah, I, moved to town. Lester helped me move in.
Amazing. Okay, Ben's talking about Lester Estelle, who is the current drummer for Kelly Clarkson. Yeah. And he was the drummer of Pillar. Mm-hmm. Sick drummer.
Which the hometown boys, man, they're all from Tulsa. So, in fact, he just helped me move again.
Oh, no way. No way.
He was the only dude that showed up. Everyone else flaked.
What a good dude.
But, he's great.
He's also got those big arms, so he can lift like the equivalent of 3 guys.
Yeah, he's yoked for sure. So moving to town, honestly, man, it was a lot of going out. The first month and a half, my wife said, okay, let's just go out every night, meet people, network, and it was great. And then I think my first gig was like 3 weeks into moving to town, and it was just like a last minute, oh, hey, can you be here? And I said, sure. And it was awful. It was terrible.
Oh, really? Okay, so you move in. How does this person get your info?
I think he just got it from a buddy of a buddy,
Okay, buddy of a buddy. That's
pretty much how Nashville is, yeah.
Wow, calls you up and you're shocked that you're getting your first gig call, probably.
Dude, I'm stoked. I'm at a Kroger getting like eggs, and I'm like, yeah, like I almost drop it. Like I'm stoked. And it's like, I'm not green because I've toured before, but yet I'm just so jazzed to have a gig.
Yeah.
So I go, and it's this place called, oh my gosh, it's called like the Beat Down Saloon or something like that. It's kind of a piece. It's right off Second Ave, and it's like bros, you know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah.
you know. So we go there, and this guy doesn't know any of like the modern stuff, but he knows like all these old like Allman Brothers tunes, which are great, but I don't know them all, you know.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Is there? How much notice did you have?
Oh, dude, like an hour.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it was basically, babe, I got a gig, I gotta go. You know.
Wow. Drop the eggs off.
Bro, yeah. Love you so much.
And what are you doing? You get on stage and he's just calling out songs?
Yeah, basically he's like, all right, what do you know? And he, you know, after about 30 seconds, he realizes I don't know jack squat of what he knows.
Oh, shoot.
So we just, you know, we're off to the races. And it ended up being fine. Like he was real, you know, he was just down to jam. It was fine. There was nobody there. We made like $40, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it was just one of those things where like, okay, it kind of gave me an idea. Maybe Nashville isn't all, you know, the rhinestones and the glitz and the glamour. It's raw. It's dirty sometimes, you know. Sometimes you're playing for, you know, 15,000 people. Sometimes you're playing for 20 people or no people, you know.
Wow, man. Heavy. Okay, so you get that first gig 3 weeks in. What's the progression from here? What does it look like over the next coming months, you know, over the next coming weeks and then months?
Over the next 2.5 months, some of the darkest times of my life since moving to Nashville. I had to work at Guitar Center, and it was terrible.
Wow, okay. You know what's cool is that I didn't know this. You kept this on the DL.
So I worked at Guitar Center for 3 months. I was the top salesman in the drum department for the first 2 months.
Of course you were. Of course you were.
And then for the last month, it ended up being I was just kind of over it, man. You know, I got my first touring gig 4 months into moving to Nashville.
Okay.
And this was like a bus gig. What had happened was I was talking with Keo Stroud, who now plays with Big and Rich. And I got a call from a buddy of mine, Hubert, who now plays with Little Big Town. Well, he had just left a gig and was wondering if I could fill in. Well, he had asked me a week earlier. I couldn't fill in because I was working. It was too short notice. But apparently the drummer that was slated to fill in for that week showed up to rehearsals, didn't learn the songs, and didn't show up with a kit.
Wow.
So
how does that happen?
I don't know. It would have been better for him to just straight up not show up at all.
Yeah.
You know, it was just a really bad, you know, thing to do. So he's like, dude, the MD's going to call you in like a minute. Answer the freaking phone. So I get out the phone and I answer it. And sure enough, the MD's like, oh, hey, man. So we heard about you from Hubert and we were wondering if you could fill in for us. We need a drummer immediately. So this is a Wednesday night at 8:30 at night. I'm vacuuming up, getting ready to shut down. He says, we need a drummer Thursday, Friday, Saturday for a run. Can you do it? I said, yeah, I can do it. I really can't do it. I'm supposed to work Friday.
Wow.
I'm supposed to work Thursday and Saturday. But I said, yeah, I can do it. No problem. He's like, all right, cool. I'm going to drop box you the tunes. Bus call is in 4 hours. So,
what? Wow.
Yeah. So I have to say, hey, Keo, get the heck out. We got to close. I finish vacuuming. I go home, literally say, hey, hon, I love you. I got to pack up my drums and my gear, and I'm going to be gone for the next 3 days. Bye.
Oh.
So I haven't listened to any of the songs. 16 songs I have to have by the next evening. So that's, you know, all my drums are ready to go. I made sure that I always had his kit stacked up with cases ready to, you know, just go out the door. So I meet him a bus call over in Brentwood. I meet him for the first time. Hi, my name's Ben. Nice to meet you. Blah, 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 blah. We're on the bus. We're going down to Dallas. Very first show, Dallas.
Wow.
At the House of Blues. So I say, okay, well, I have the Jim Riley book, so I know I can chart. I've been working on my charting skills, so I'm going to make sure I sleep in real good, wake up, and I'm going to spend the whole day charting, spend the whole day with these songs. And I did. I spent the whole day with them, played the first show. The next day, they offered me the gig.
Amazing. Dude, amazing. Isn't it so cool, man, how opportunities align as we're prepared, right? Like you talk about, you had all the tools that you needed, you were in the right place at the right time, but you positioned yourself to be in the right place at the right time. And you made sure that, you know, you didn't wait for that call to go, you know what, I should probably get a book on charting and start learning how to chart, right? It's like you were as prepared as possible.
Yeah, I bought Jim's book back in Tulsa because as soon as I saw it, I was like, okay, this is something I'm gonna need.
Yeah.
And it's so funny, man. I actually while while I was still on that gig, I got to open up for Jim.
Oh, get out of here
with the flats, and I told him because it wasn't the first time, but I said, dude, I have this gig directly because of your book. So thank you.
That's so cool.
And Jim's so cool, and he's helped me quite a bit with mentoring me and helping me get work and stuff. He's a great guy. But yeah, so I was in town 4 months, and I had a touring gig, and that carried me all through the fall.
Great. How long have you been in town for now?
We just went on 3 years.
3 years. Great.
Yeah.
So it carried you all the way through the fall, and then what was the progression? What's it been like since then? What have been the highs and lows?
There's been some really high highs, some really low lows. So into the fall, the gig ends for me. She decides to go in a different direction, and come to find out, she ends up canning drummers about like once a year.
Okay.
So because a friend of mine ended up getting the gig, and the same thing happened to him.
Okay.
So I'm back to square one.
Yep.
So I'm just playing in town, picking up gigs whenever I can. And I'm not going to lie, man, getting to move to Nashville and pretty much immediately getting a bus gig kind of spoiled me a bit. Right. When I'm out there and I get bus stock and I get my own bunk and like it's all groovy. And then I'm back to square one. I'm, having to root around for gigs. And it was a bit of a humbling experience, I'll say.
Did you not have a moment of, and I asked this because I've been through this before too, where you think, you're sitting on your tour bus, you've got all your goodies, you get your own bunk, and you're thinking, oh man, this is awesome. I'm never going to have to play downtown Nashville again.
Bro, say that.
Yeah.
Say that, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, absolutely. I mean, everybody has that where you're like, okay, everything below this is beneath me.
I'm never going to have to ever do that again. Ever.
It's only going to go up from here. Next step, I'm going to have a drum tech. Oh,
yeah,
dude. And I was there, man. I was thinking long term, like, oh, cool. We're going to go, we're going to be going and doing all these shows, and it's going to be killer, and it's always going to be this way. And looking back now, I was talking with Jeff about this yesterday. It's always fun looking back, talking about how great it was or how crappy it was, but it sucks when you're in the middle of it.
Well, let me preface that by saying you're talking about Jeff Randall. I don't know if we've actually said Jeff yet in this podcast, because you and I were talking beforehand that what was so cool about Jeff's podcast was that he was so real about the struggle, man. Like,
yes, absolutely. Well, and in an increasingly digital world where everybody is sugarcoating and whitewashing everything about their lives because they're either putting out way too much or only putting out the exact amount they want people to see, and it's always in the best light. It's never in a negative light.
Of course, yeah.
And I just saw this article about this girl. She was from Australia. She had something like 1 million followers. And one day she had this breakdown where she just realized, you guys don't understand, that one photo of my abs looking amazing that I spent 2 hours taking over 200 photos to try to make that one photo.
Wow.
And so now she's become a crusader for what real life should be like. In the same token, Nashville has become that too. Not in necessarily a negative way, in just that everyone wants everyone to think that you're killing it all the time. Todos las dias. When in reality, dude, and once again, I won't name names.
Yeah.
I have a friend who has had really great gigs, but he also had 4 months where he had absolutely zero work.
Yeah.
Of course, his Instagram once a week would never let you know that because he's posting old photos or whatever. And it's so true, dude, and it's important, that we have interviews like with Jeff, because he was honest. He said, dude, I work at Apple.
Yeah.
And I'm also a bad A drummer, and I'm killing the Instagram game right now. And it's only a matter of time before he gets a gig, and everybody knows it.
Yeah.
At the same token, he doesn't have endorsements. He doesn't have deals. He's doing it, as good quality as he can with low budget, and he's killing it. He's doing great. He's got over 11,000 followers. That's sick.
It's amazing.
And he's genuine, and he's himself doing it.
Yeah.
Like, that's a beautiful thing, man. We need more of that.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. I was so moved by Jeff being so transparent about all that stuff, because it's funny. It's a balance, you know? It's like we do have to show ourselves in our best light because our potential employers are looking at us. Your social
Exactly.
media feed, like if you guys are putting up pictures of dumb stuff, let me just break that right away and say, you know, like recognize that your potential, unless you're in a position where you're not looking for an employer, but you're trying to settle a brand and show off a brand, you
Yeah.
really want to be conscious of that. But I think what's cool is like, it's true. We do have to show ourselves in our best light, but then also allow people to recognize, or more importantly, this conversation right here is kind of doing this. It's like,
Right.
guys, you know, don't feel discouraged. Don't feel confused about what reality looks like because, you know, listen to what Ben's saying, man. Moves to Nashville and grinds.
Dude, and I was talking with him yesterday. I want to talk a little bit about the darkness.
Yeah, let's get into it, man.
Because the darkness creeps in and it's coming for us. And there was a time where I was working, but the work was slow. And one of the things that I was actually doing in order to kind of save my sanity during the daytime, because all I was doing was, you know, online and seeing, oh man, he's out where? Oh wow.
Wow.
I started chopping wood by our house to kind of just get my mind into, okay, well, we have a fireplace and we live by a freaking forest and there's a crap ton of dead wood. Let's put on some music and go chop some wood. And it ended up becoming this therapy for me. Because like at the end of the day, I was like, okay, cool. Well, I didn't make $1,000 playing a gig, but I provided this fire that's keeping my wife and my dog warm.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? So it was this way of me kind of being able to say, okay, I'm not doing this, but I did this. And so it's going to be okay. You know?
Wow.
And you know, I talk with so many different guys in town and they all go through that struggle. You know, because there's lean months where the work is non-existent and there's, you know, times where you are turning down so much work. It's crazy. I had a moment where earlier this year I was touring with a multi-platinum artist. And it was usually just me and him or me and him and his brother, a guy named Christian Bush. And I was playing cajon, singing background for him. And it was amazing. It was so cool. And they ended up deciding to keep the drummer that they had. I was doing the percussion stuff, but they had this other guy. And they let him do the percussion, and he ended up being great at it, and so they just kept him. I hadn't been putting my name out because I was so focused on doing that I go, well, holy crap, my wife is pregnant, and she's about to give birth at any moment. What am I going to do? So what I actually did was I started street performing. I did that for about 3 weeks. And I just set up a kit, plugged in my headphones, and just jammed along to my wife's like crappy dance cardio radio.
Sick. Wow.
And dude, and you know what? I made that money, you know, and for that, and that first night where my wife is like as big as, well, she wasn't big. She was as skinny as all get out. She was never pregnant at all. But for my pregnant wife to come and pick me up and me hand her a bucket of money.
Yeah.
It was just like, wow, look at God. I'm able to still provide for my family, make that money doing what I love. I'm not having to flip burgers. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just that I was still able to do it on my terms.
Yeah.
And for those 3 weeks or whatever, it was great. I met Thomas Lang when I was street performing.
Right. I forgot about that. Right.
Dude, he came in to do his drum bonanza, and one of his students walked up to me when I was playing. He's like, hey man, I just want to let you know Thomas Lang's watching you. He's right behind you. And I turn around and he's like 6'4". He's a big dude. And he's like, oh man, you sound really good. I'm completely butchering his accent. I'm sorry, Thomas, if you listen to that.
Oh shoot, I love it.
Man, you sound really good. And he was super nice. Like, he was super cool. He's like, so what are you doing? I was like, man, just, street performer a little bit. He's like, oh, cool. I asked him if he wanted to play. He's like, no, that's okay.
Yeah,
there's not enough DW double pedals on that kit. But it was great, man. And God provided during that downtime. And then when the gigs picked up again, it's still a balance. Every day when you wake up, you're still having to fight that urge of going, where I'm at isn't necessarily where you want to be. Even with the success of 180, dude, I remember you talking to me about this like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Long before, we had any idea of what it was going to be. All you had was a vision. And even as much as it's grown now, it's not nearly where you want it to be.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And it's so easy to get down and out about that. But all you're able to do is keep going and stay positive. Like I'm super about staying positive, man. You have your health. You're able to, grab things. You have, 5 fingers on each hand. Hopefully, you can walk.
Yeah.
It's like there's so many amazing things where if you really break it down to the base of it, you're like, oh my gosh, wow. Well, I really can't complain because I'm only gigging for 150 people and not 150,000 people because I'm still working.
Yeah.
Well,
man, can I share on that for a minute? Is that cool?
Sure.
What's been really moving to me, man, and I don't know that I've talked about this very much online. Maybe I talked about this a little bit with some of the different people we've been doing podcasts with. Maybe some of it's unreleased, but I won't name names just for the sake of having asked for permission to share some of this stuff.
Right.
But let me just say this. Actually, I don't need to name names. I'll just be really broad. Every single drummer that we've had in at 180, so, with the exception of maybe a few, but every single instructor. So go to 180drums.com/instructors. Look at those names. Look at the artists that they've played for. Tell me those wouldn't be your wildest dreams. And then remain perplexed as I make the statement that every single one of them has shown moments of feeling slightly unhappy with where they're at. Every single one of them.
Bro. And the funny thing is, it's true across the board, man. I've seen it in Nashville, with the exception of a few guys that have basically grown with their artists from Rich is one of them. Rich has been with Jason since he was a complete unknown.
Yeah.
Ben Caesar's been with Brad Paisley since he was unknown. But other than that, a lot of the other guys that had the higher echelon gigs, as big as they get, dude, that doesn't necessarily equal happiness. Yeah. It's crazy, dude. You could put me with, I don't know, anybody, and I'm still stoked to get to play.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, dude, even if I was playing with Clapton, I'm sure I could find something to complain about.
Dude, 100%. Well, it's just that at some point you start to feel like there's got to be more. And listen, guys, I think that what's actually beautiful is that these feelings are the things that we need. So next time you start to feel this feeling of like discouragement or disappointment, recognize that that's not the correct feeling you're supposed to have. That's just an indication that you're still trying to grow. And it's a really good thing. So every time you feel discouraged, turn that off right away and say, okay, that the feeling of discouragement is actually just that I recognize I'm meant for more. And that's a really good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And me personally, I've been really fortunate to be mentored by some amazing guys. Uncle Herman is always so freaking positive.
For anybody who doesn't know Uncle Herman, give us the intro.
Dude, Herman Matthews is just, where to begin? That dude he's a good soul, man. Not only is he a disgusting drummer, like his groove, dude, he's the guy that they call to fill in for David Garibaldi with Tower Power.
Crazy.
I mean, Shimon, that's crazy.
Come on.
Not to mention he's played with everyone from Kirk Whalen to Richard Marx to Stevie Wonder to just his long running gig was with Tom Jones. But he's a groove monster. He's based out of L.A., but he was from Texas, so he has this really swampy feel. And he's always so positive and so uplifting. And he's one of my influences in that all the gigging that you could possibly do, just freaking do it.
Yeah.
He's played arenas. He's played for hundreds of thousands of people in one sitting, but he'll also go and play for a sing-along artist, for a bunch of kids in the library, or he'll go and do club dates. And he's always working, and he's always got this big smile on his face. Another mentor of mine is, Nate Morton, who plays with The Voice.
Amazing.
Dude, Nate's the greatest, man. And I saw him when I was 12 years old on TV playing for Rockstar. You remember that TV show, Rockstar Supernova?
Dude, that show, him playing that big pearl kit with those Zildjian cymbals, that was a life changer for me, man.
It changed. I was like, who is that dude with the dreads dealing so hard? And for me now to be able to like text him or like hang with him, like last time I was in LA for my sister-in-law's wedding, he picked me up afterwards and we hung out.
Amazing. Or like what's that word game you guys are always playing?
Oh, dude, Words with Friends. We we stopped it because we were like, look, I always win now.
Oh,
so it's yeah. But he'll text me like during the show.
Yeah, I love it.
But no, he's great. I've just been very fortunate. Another one was, obviously Tommy Hardin.
Yeah.
He's been very uplifting and very cool. And of course, Trey.
Yeah.
Who and man, when a guy like Trey, who's literally played with Faith Hill at the height of her career, Jewel at the height of her career, Brooks and Dunn at the height of their career, he's seen everything. And then, for him dealing with the disease he has, Huntington's, and to still remain positive, dude, it's like, man, I can't complain.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? It's like he gets it, bro. And if there was a guy that really should be able to, if he was complaining and being all negative and curmudgeon-y, no one would blame him.
Yeah.
But even still, he's able to find that joy. And like, dude, it's sometimes you just need a kick in the butt like that, man.
Yes.
The guys that have been there and that, because life's not easy. And this industry is becoming increasingly smaller and smaller in the work that's available, while the pool for talent is expanding way more than anyone ever anticipated. Even in Nashville, conservatively, there's probably 20 drummers that move to town every month.
Wow.
Yeah.
Conservatively.
Yeah.
You don't have to say every month.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Crazy.
I mean, it's prime example. Jeff is an amazing drummer. He could sell you an iPhone. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And you wouldn't know. Oh, wow, that dude that's a genius at the Mac store is also dealing on the drums.
Okay.
That female barista has a better set of pipes than like anybody you've ever heard.
Yeah.
This is music. Yeah. This is Music City, dude. And the sooner we're able to understand that we're probably not the baddest cat on the block, yeah, the better, because you have to just do you and figure out what that means.
Here's a pivotal point in this conversation that I think people gotta clue in on right now, is that if you were to look at Ben and I's conversation, and you were to say, I wonder how much time they've talked so far about grooves or fills or practice routines, and you were to tally that up, it might be 30 seconds at this point, like if we're lucky.
Maybe.
But if you were to sit back and tally the amount of time that we've talked about relationships, you would have a 55 plus minute, conversation.
Yeah. Well, and for me personally, man, coming up back in Oklahoma, relationships really didn't matter because it was all gigs.
Right.
It was local gigs. You weren't hanging with these dudes afterwards. Like if I'm playing with a bunch of jazz guys and they're all smoking them funny cigarettes out back in between, it's like, well, I'm not into that, so I'm not doing that. So I'm just, hanging out with the bartender or whatever, or just, just kicking it out on the patio. So it never really factored in, honestly, until my late teens, how big of a deal the hang is, how big of a deal the mindset, the mentality you have. Actually, there's a story I'd like to share. It's like 30 seconds long. I grew up very broke, very poor, and my mom was a single parent working really hard to provide. I was mentored by some older cats, but they all came up very hardcore, like old school, like you suck, play better.
Wow.
And then that was it. Do you know?
Ooh.
So I grew up with that. Yeah, dude, it was rough. And like the worship pastor at my old church, Tony, even to this day, dude, his stare like haunts me, bro. Because he would just give you this look like he was about to punch you as soon as nobody was looking. And it was always terrifying. And so being raised in that, coming up in that, I kind of got this really tough exterior, like, yeah, well, guess what? I'm going to steal your gig. I'm going to do blah. So fast forward to I'm about 19 and I'm living on my own. And a buddy of mine who was working at Guitar Center came to me and asked me, he said, hey, I heard you said this about this guy. Is this true? And I was like, no, man, that ain't true. That's freaking mean. And then I thought about it and I realized it was true.
Ooh.
I was talking trash about this dude. I had forgotten I'd even said it.
Wow.
And I was like, oh man, I'm a douche. Like, because it was that moment where I realized, holy crap, I've become the guy that did that to me.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? And it was one of those moments where I was like, okay, I got to change.
Yeah.
Because this is not okay. I can't be that guy. I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
So when I started touring, I started getting, Facebook messaged and, whatever, even MySpace back in the day.
Oh,
and I started getting an opportunity to be the guy I wished the guys that I reached out to were to me.
Yep, absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? Because back in the days before Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, you had to email these dudes and hoped that they had an email like that worked.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So now being able to like Facebook message a person immediately, that's sick. It's great. I mean, like the content you're able to get and the people you're able to make contact with is amazing. But dude, like it was such a cool experience for me to finally realize I get to be that positive voice, even if I'm having the worst freaking day. And I've had some doozies, bro. If I still get reached out to by somebody, if I'm able to be like, dude, but guess what, man? You have rent, gas money, food. Yeah, you're not touring like crazy, but you got a gig this weekend that's going to cover your nut for the month. So live it up, dude.
Totally.
Watch some Netflix and chill or something.
Watch some Netflix and chill, yeah.
It's all about the perspective of it.
Yeah. Well, man, something right away that I would encourage you guys to do, because you mentioned this, is like, reach out to guys,
it's so easy.
We just did a podcast a few weeks ago with Garrett Goodwin, and he gave everybody his email. And you know what? Yep. I can tell you right now, not a lot of people emailed him. And that's what's so crazy, right? Yeah. Now, it is one thing, like if you're going to reach out to guys like Ben, you make yourself accessible. Guys, reach out to Ben. But if you're going to reach out to him, do make sure that you have something you're actually interested in asking, because I'll get Facebook messages now. I mean, now with 180 taking off, it's weird, man. I get some weird stuff, and I think a lot of it's actually great. Like I got five emails yesterday that were all students just thanking me, and I'm like, this is amazing. It's amazing, right? But the only thing that I'm sometimes like, oh man, is I'll get messages of people just being like, hey, that's it. Hey. And I'm like, oh man, I would
dude, that's the kind of like text my wife sends me when she's bored, like, hi.
Yeah. And it's just like, guys, like I'm literally doing 20 things right now. I want to chat with you. I actually do. I really do want to hear how you're doing. I want to hear what you're working on. I want to know, help me help you. Show me how I can help you, Bro, so if you're going to reach out to Ben, like give him a really thought out question that shows that you took the time to be excited to reach out to Ben and not just go, hey, so give me all the info, right? It's like, well, it's like, guys, this is why we've created 180. This is why I've created podcasts, so that I don't have to sit there and spew out info to you forever, because it would take a lifetime,
Right. Yeah.
Just to speak to that, because I think it's the best time in the world to reach out and start talking to people. Like now is the time. People are accessible, but make sure that you.
Oh, dude. It's amazing. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing is that, like, even if they don't necessarily have a Facebook, like I don't have a personal Facebook. I have like a little drum page where most of the stuff I post is like geeky stuff, like, oh wow, did you see who switched to DW drums?
Yeah,
because like that'll always be a part of me that I love to do. I still get excited about gear or who's playing what. But at the same time, like I get messaged all the time, by somebody who says, hey man, I like that, or what's your thoughts on this head? I see you play Aquarian, blah, 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 blah. And like, I'm always down to message. And I keep like a track of my message rate. Like, I usually respond in about 5-10 minutes. Cause I'm actually able to see like my response rate on my page. So yeah, so I'm pretty good when it comes to that, just cause I get excited about that. Cause it's still so cool to me that people want to reach out and, ask me stuff. And,
man, that's so special, dude. Sticks from Ariana Grande shared the same thing, that he's very adamant about having a fast response rate on his page,
Yeah.
Cats, reach out. Reach out for sure. Well, dude, we've just hit we've hit the 1 hour mark that you and I have been chatting. We definitely chatted for a few minutes before we actually got on the podcast. So this is about the time that I would love to do some rapid fire questions and talk about life, just chat about life aside from drums a little bit, even though it seeps into everything we do. So who are some people that you view as successful? Now that can be a drummer, but who comes to mind first when you think of successful?
Successful. Anybody that's able to provide for themselves and their family doing what they love. That's success.
Cool. Very cool.
As far as musically speaking, anybody that's doing music on their terms and not starving. Wow. That's success. I have a soft spot for teachers because my mother is one. She works with deaf ed and special needs kids. Wow. So anybody that's able to work in a field with children, that's a really important thing, and just teachers in general because they're so underpaid, so underappreciated. They're heroes, bro. As far as musically speaking, like for me personally, there's some guys in town that I've gotten to know, and I view them as a success. One of them is Tommy Hardin, not just because he's a killer drummer and he's always in the studio and he kills it live as well, but because he's married to the same woman for 30 years. They're still madly in love. Miss Laurie is a sweetheart of a lady and a killer singer. They're in a band together. All 6 of his kids still like him.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like, he was one of the first musicians I really got to meet where I was like, wow, like there's such a more rich level of appreciation I have for this guy, aside from his playing, aside from the fact that he kicked my butt in Shaker. But like he has respect. He's not a super outgoing person, but man, he's really a sweet guy. And like, getting to hang out at his house, like his kids call him Papa. And like it's so throwback, dude. He lives in a log cabin out west of town. And I just remember thinking like, I have such a respect for this dude as a person. Yeah. So for me, guys that I've gotten to meet that are like that, another one is Seth Roush, man. Like, he's a family guy. He's got like 4 kids and he's a very soft-spoken dude. He went from playing with Little Big Town. Now he plays with Keith Urban. He's killing it, dude. And he pretty much keeps as a low profile as you can get in Nashville. Wow. You never see him out. He doesn't have an online presence. And like, I respect that, Yeah. Lately I've been finding a lot more appreciation for guys that kind of just live their lives. In the last year I've gotten off Facebook and a lot of guys thought I'd, dropped off or moved or whatever. And I just been focusing on being a daddy and being a husband. I've never gigged so much in my life, dude. I'm on track to do over 300 gigs this year. Wow. And it's like, they're all in town, for the most part. I mean, I still do weekend stuff, but like, I get to see my son grow. I'm really believing that next year I'm going to be going back out. But there was a time early this year where I was really kind of dealing with some depression, honestly, because I wasn't necessarily where I viewed that I wanted to be. Yep. Whatever that means. Yep. But then I kind of had a realization one day when I was talking with my wife, and she drops wisdom bombs all the time without even realizing how heavy she got. Uh-huh. And she's like, you know what? But you've gotten to see bubbies grow. And I'm like, holy crap! I've got friends that have missed births, dude. Wow. And I was, I turned down a lot of work to be there for my sons, but I wouldn't give that back for anything. I've gotten to see my son. He's almost 8 months old. I've gotten to see him grow from a little bean to, he looked like a gremlin when he was born. He was kind of messed up looking. And then now he's so chubby and he's sort of crawling and he's sort of talking and he's teething. And it's amazing. Yeah. Daddy has to go out and play, or, I have to get up early and I don't get much sleep and I'm this close to having to be dependent on coffee. Yeah. But dude, the work is there, whether it's, doing the library thing for the kids or playing at a church out in Hendersonville or, going and doing a thing at the Opryland Resort with a kick and snare for 10 minutes, I'm doing music and I'm making a way, and God's provided. And up until the last, 2 weeks, my wife pretty much was off. She wasn't working at all. So it went from gigs being there to all of a sudden me being able to cover my wife and myself and my son and my dog all of that with just playing drums.
Wow.
I mean, I've been very, very blessed, bro.
Amazing.
So to get back to your point of, who do I view success as, man, anybody that's doing what they love to do on their terms, that's a success.
Amazing, man. And to add to that, the reason I'd say you're so successful, Ben, is because you're constantly reevaluating why you do what you do. And I don't even know if you're as aware of that as I feel like it is from looking, from being on the outside looking in, but you're very aware to step back and go, what's so great about what I'm getting to do? You just did it in front of everybody, right? That in my mind makes you successful because you're conscious, So that's great, man. Dude, if you could send a postcard to everybody in the world, and maybe we're alluding to what you might share a little bit now, but if you could send a postcard to everybody and they're going to get it at their front door, it'll be translated into their language, and you can either say a couple words or a sentence. What's the message that you share?
I'd probably say something like, you're loved.
Yeah. Great. That's great.
I mean, probably, something like that,
Yeah.
Smile.
Yeah.
Hug somebody,
Yeah, dude. This just became an emotional podcast, bro. Look at us now, drummers. Look at us now. I love it. Yeah, that's right. Oh, man. Ben's eyes are crying, guys. You just can't see it.
Dude,
Ben's
bro.
Yeah.
Okay, that Instagram post a couple days ago, the man and his dog, did you watch that?
No. What is it?
Dude. Bro, it's okay. So foreign commercials are like infinitely better than American ones.
Yeah.
I think it's from like Portugal or it's a Hispanic speaking country. It's this dude and his dog, and it's about being an organ donor.
Wow.
And so like the whole time it's this old man and his dog, and he's like, okay, wait outside, and the dog waits, and he goes in and hangs in at the end. This guy kind of has a heart attack, and he goes to the hospital, and the dog's chasing the ambulance. And he's not letting, so he's just sitting out there for like days. And then he comes back out, the door's open, and it's a woman in a wheelchair. She comes back out, and he goes up and starts sniffing her, and she starts petting him. And then it goes to black, and it says, be an organ donor. And so he recognized the scent of his, and I'm like, dude, I was in between church services, and I was like crying full-blownsies for a minute, dude.
Wow, that just gave me chills. That just gave me chills.
Cause dude, it was a good one. But anyways, man, it's just the more, the older I get, and the more I get to hang out with my son. Some of the biggest realizations I've had is when I'm holding him. For me personally, it seems like the older people get, the more perspective they gain, and the less they actually have to speak.
Wow. Yeah.
Do you ever watch National Geographic, like with tribesmen?
Yeah, very occasionally.
Just like elders of any culture.
Yes.
They say about a fourth as many words as everybody else. But it carries infinitely more weight. And I try to, especially in the time during the day, I really try to like be able to reflect a bit. I really should read. I hear about you reading all the time, and I suck at reading, dude. I do books on tape.
Yeah, I do too, man.
But I know that me on the bus, like I get a lot of downtime to get to kind of reflect and, calm in my bunk. And it's good, man. Me kind of stepping back from social media, as it were. I mean, I still post a lot on Instagram because I love photos and stuff. But
yeah.
I realized that I was getting a lot of my info, like the news, from Facebook.
Wow.
Which is really jacked up.
Yeah.
And so, I don't even hardly know what's going on in the world very, very much. My wife has to tell me.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I actually, I don't ever watch the news, and it's not that I'm trying to be ignorant. It's just that I would rather let the people that I trust in my life be the ones that I hear news from, so that so that I understand the source a little more. I don't know. We don't have to get too crazy into this stuff, but yeah.
It's totally true. I'm the same way with music, dude. I rarely discover new stuff unless somebody hips me to it.
Yeah. Dude, I've got the same records that I go to over and over again. It's almost pathetic. I've got to like update some of that. Actually, dude, just a little shout out to a band that I've been digging lately is Lettuce.
Dude, Adam Deitch.
Adam Deitch is heavy. I actually just got to very briefly say hey to him at their last gig, and we chatted over email a little bit. heavy band, man. So sick.
Yeah.
Okay, dude, what are some apps that you go through the most? So, yeah, like what's your, do you have a go-to app that's helpful for drums or just
YouTube? It's
YouTube?
pretty great.
Okay, nice.
I use that Frozen tempo app that Gavin Harrison did.
Yes.
That is super invaluable. I probably have 15 set lists on that thing.
Sick. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. What's the best thing you've purchased lately that's like $100 or less?
$100 or less. That's a tough one, dude. Probably this juicer.
Sick. Okay.
we just got really into juicing. And after today, we really got to get back on it. But that's been pretty great.
Yes.
I enjoy it. So my wife yells out, "Fresh juice!" and
Fresh juice.
Fresh juice.
This is like it's totally the Fresh Pots thing, right?
Dude, yeah. Fresh Pots.
Fresh Pots. You guys got to go see Dave Grohl. Just type in, everybody listening, if you're lost, type in Dave Grohl Fresh Pots on YouTube. You'll thank us later.
Yeah. Fresh Pots. Fresh Pots. Fresh Pots.
Yeah. Dude, and he's just like shredding these fills in the studio. So funny.
Dude, he's so good. Have you ever gotten to meet him before?
I haven't.
Oh man, he's super
Ben, why don't you just rub it in my face right now? Let us know the story about you meeting Dave Grohl.
Okay, so I'm flying to NAMM show 2 years ago. And it's funny, every time I fly into LAX, I meet a celebrity. The year before, I met the lead singer from the Goo Goo Dolls.
Cool.
Yeah, which was real neat.
See, I wouldn't recognize that person.
Well, see, we had done a show opening up for him about 3 years earlier, so I remembered his face.
Cool.
But I get off the plane and, LAX, you go to the baggage claim and there's this guy holding this sign that says Grohl. And I look and I'm like, okay, there's almost no chance that that's not for Dave. I've never heard of another Grohl in my life. So I walk up to him. I'm not that guy because he probably could have thought I was. Man, I should have done that, dude.
Where do you think you were Grohl?
Where do you think he would have taken me to? I mean,
oh man.
So I walk up to him and said, "Hey man, I'm not that guy, but I'm a huge fan of that drummer. Can I take a photo of the sign?" He's like, "Sure." So I'm like, I'm so bummed, but I got to go get my bags. And I circle back around thinking maybe I could see him, and the dude's gone. And I'm like, oh no. And then I look over to my left and there's Dave. And like, I take like 2 steps towards him. He's like, "Hey bro, are you the drummer?"
Shut up.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm the drummer.
Yeah, Mr. Grohl.
Mr. Grohl, I'm the drummer. You're just the best drummer ever. And he was so cool. He's like, "Hey man, I'm Dave. Nice to meet you." And I'm like, "Yeah, you are."
Yeah, you are, Dave. Yeah, you are. Oh man.
And he was the coolest dude. I was like, "Can I get a photo with you, man?" He's like, "Yeah." Like he was like so jazzed to like. He's just the coolest dude. Being. So cool. So I could have gotten back on the plane and just gone back home after that.
Wow.
NAMM could have just waited. I'd have been fine.
Freaking Dave Grohl.
Freaking Grohl, man.
One of these days, we will get Dave Grohl and Taylor Hawkins in at 180 Drums.
Dude, that would be so amazing.
Yeah. I would probably just wrap up the company after that, I think.
Hope we've done everything we can do. It's been a fun run, fellas. Bye.
Close down the site. It's over. Don't ever release the lessons. Just, shoot. Put them on a developing site somewhere and hide them and just look at them ourselves.
Yeah. Dude, have you ever watched the show Portlandia?
No, I haven't.
It's a sketch comedy show, but one of the running gags they do is when something really amazing happens, they just shut down. They're like, "Well, everything in music has been said, so we're going to shut down the site, fellas." Okay, cool. Yeah.
Dude, that's exactly it, man.
So it'll be just like that.
Do you have a favorite book, man? Is there a book you've been reading lately?
Dude, the Ragamuffin Gospel has been just blowing my mind.
Brennan Manning. I like
Brennan Manning, dude. That dude has some insane insight. Mere Christianity, C.S. Lewis. The Chronicles of Narnia, bro. I mean, dude, I've read those books, and they're like 150 pages each. I've read those books probably at least 20 times each, and every time I get something new out of it.
Can I just say, for some light humor, I was playing drums at my church this weekend, and they decided to put 3 Christmas trees right in front of the drum set.
Why?
And I'm behind, I'm in the fishbowl, I'm behind the plexiglass. So with those trees in front of me, I can see like a third of the congregation, and I immediately felt like I was in Narnia. I was like, this is what Narnia would be like. Dumb joke.
Oh, totally. No, another book that I recently read was it's called The Beat of My Own Drum. It's the Sheila E.
Cool.
Biography.
Very cool,
dude. It gets heavy, bro, but it's really good, man. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she just talked about her upbringing and going from living in a house with the Escovedo family, who like Tito Puente, those dudes were like kicking it at the house like it was no big deal.
Wow.
To touring the world at 15 with her dad, and I mean, it's just a really cool book, man.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Man, so if you could go back 5 years, what is the advice that you give to yourself? Or in the same way, if someone's like, hey, Ben, I want to move to Nashville, what's the advice that you give these guys reaching out to you?
Ooh, okay. I got some good ones. Okay, and Lester will, if he listens to this, I'll make him listen to it. If Lester listens to this, he'll understand why I'm saying this. Shut up and just play the drums. Wow. Don't worry about all the other stuff, because as opinionated as everyone is becoming, talk about a third as everyone else does. Listen, play musically, learn the kick and snare parts. For the love of Bob, learn those things. And just keep your mouth shut. Come here with a respect for the history of the city, and an appreciation for those that have come before. But you come here with a good, positive attitude. Don't come here kissing butt, because people can sniff that out a mile away. Come here with a mindset of, I'm going to be open to experiences and contrasting ideologies, because there's a lot of that. I grew up in the Bible Belt, dude, so it's mostly a certain type of person. Whereas you move here and there's all different types of people. Yeah. Don't be so eager to share your opinion.
Yeah.
Come here and play musically, and be willing to go out and play crappy gigs. I mean, I can tell you I played a couple gigs out at this VFW out on the Kentucky-Tennessee border with this guy who, I don't know why, but he always played the riff to Enter the Sandman in like every song, dude. We'd be playing like Boot Scootin' Boogie, get down, turn around, go to town, boot scootin' boom, 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 boom.
Oh my goodness. That sounds like a bad dream. And
he had the power rock stance with, dude, be willing to do those gigs. You have to.
Man, dude.
When I look back at all the types of gigs I've done since moving to town, it's crazy. There was this sweet country duo called the Springs. They're the nicest freaking people, Stuart and Holly. I played every small town in Alabama with them. And we would, it'd be in a van, and we'd go play, and then we'd crash at their parents' pad, and I'd get like this room with all the creepy dolls in it. And it was great. And then I'd wake up in the morning and help mama make eggs. And it's just like, be open to have those experiences. Because here's the thing, like you said, even those dudes with amazing gigs, they always have some room to complain. Dude, prime example, man. And once again, this is not a dig on anybody, but there was a guy that left a higher echelon gig last year because he was just over it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
It goes to show you, just because you're in a place where other people would kill to have, doesn't necessarily mean that you're happy or that they're happy.
Yeah.
The guys that I'm looking up to saying, wow, they're there. Some of them are still really, really bitter and angry individuals. And it's sad.
Yes. Guys,
because then you're like, what do you want? What is it that you actually want?
Right. I mean, look at it this way. Like, Christmas is coming up, right?
Yeah.
So we're dating this podcast, and it is that time of year. It's actually, let's be real, it's Thanksgiving Day today.
It's Thanksgiving Day,
guys,
bro.
Ben took time out of his Thanksgiving Day. I'm Canadian, so I don't give a rip. But I'm just kidding. Totally kidding. Amazing day. And the fact that you took the time out today is amazing. But it's the time of year where, with Christmas, like, think back to being a kid. There are things that you wanted so bad. Like, you wanted them so badly you would do anything to get it. And then Christmas rolls around, You get that thing, and 10 years later, you could not care less. Now, that's not to say that that's true for everything in life, but there's an element of that is true for everything, that over time, no matter how bad you wanted that thing, it becomes normal.
Exactly. And one of the things that I find so fascinating is, I'm not sure if you guys have lottery up in Canada, but we have the lottery down here. And dude, most 5% of the people that win the lottery are broke within like 5 years.
Yes. Yeah.
And I watched this documentary called Broke. It's one of those 30 for 30 things. And it's about how most professional athletes within 3 to 5 years are bankrupt.
Wow.
And it's because most of them have no concept of money management before they get the money.
Right.
A lot of the people that grew up in the NFL, some of them come from, more upper middle class backgrounds, but a lot of them are freaking poor, dude. And so they look at sports as their way out, but they haven't been taught money management because they didn't have any money to manage. Wow. So all of a sudden, when you get a check for $1 million, you're going to freaking go and, ball out of control and spend all this crazy money when in reality, you should be figuring ways to foster and keep that income long term.
Yeah.
And the same thing goes with joy and happiness. Like I'm a very happy dude. I also am able to, show my emotions and I wear my emotions on my sleeve. But I had this moment where I'm like, dude, I have a beautiful wife and an amazing son and a dog and a home and all the gear that I could ever need, and work. I'm working literally every day. Like I'm off today. But it's like if let's say I got the, I don't know, Tim McGraw gig or just something or Sting, would that fulfill me? Would that give me all the joy I need? Or would I fall into the same place that all those other touring musicians fall into, is the darkness, the abyss, where I have this and I should be happy and everyone says that I should be happy, but I'm miserable.
Yeah.
And then it goes back into this deeper understanding of, well, what's really important?
Yeah.
Can you be content in the little things?
Yeah.
So when the big things happen, you're like, I'm taking it all in because I know how fleeting all this stuff is.
Yeah. That's great, man. Wow. Amazing perspectives, dude. I want to let you get down to that family because there is probably the amazing smell of a cooked turkey, or actually, sorry, cooked ham. You guys did ham.
We did ham.
Satterlee family's doing ham.
She got a turkey and it wasn't thawed, so late night. Oh, dude, we got to cover gear real quick.
But we do. Yeah, dude, thank you, man.
Got to cover gear. Yeah, that's always one of my things. Like, and I listen to podcasts. Wait, he didn't say what's there.
See, you know what? Actually, luckily, we've been really good about that so far. So please run me through your gear.
Dude, I always was a big fan of those drummers that kind of used a little bit of everything. That didn't necessarily have the one thing. Like Gad has his thing that he can use it for everything. I handpick gear for each gig. Recently, I made a switch from another company I was with to just kind of playing the drums that most inspired me. And what always inspired me growing up as a kid was Japanese-made Yamaha. That was just, So I grabbed the Mchugh hip gig kit, which is
cool,
so slick. And then I snagged the Club Jordan cocktail kit, which was actually owned by Jimmy Chamberlain from Smashing Pumpkins.
What?
Yeah, dude. He had a bunch of gear up on consignment up at Vic's Drum Shop. And when I was on tour up to Chicago, we stopped there, and I saw it, and I just wanted it because you just can't find them anywhere.
No kidding. Steve Jordan cocktail kit is legendary.
Dude, yeah. I mean, it's so slick. And so I said, okay, I'm going to buy this. And then other than that, I rock I have a 1980s, early 80s recording custom kit. Beautiful. That I bought out of Forks, which is awesome. And then I played Dinette snares, man. I've made that switch, dude. I'm pretty much gutting all my gear that I don't use. I'm selling a couple kits. Going back to that, I realized just even moving into this space, which I have all this room now, I'm like, I don't need half this stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm selling off extra gear. I'm selling off extra snares that I don't use and getting the ones I want. I think Ron makes amazing drums, and I have 3, and I'd like to get some more.
Yeah.
Amazing. Zildjian sticks, which I know sounds weird because, most people think if you're not playing the Travis Barker model, then what are you doing?
Right,
but,
right.
Dude, buddy of mine, Nate, he told me to check them out again, and I did. And I bought, $30 worth of sticks and forks, and I found a model that worked for me, and I hauled at my rep, and she was cool with it. And so I'm playing Zildjian sticks. I play the Super 5A wood tip model. And then, of course, Zildjian cymbals, man. And once again, I play everything except for the kitchen sink.
Yeah, no kidding. Dude.
A's and K's all day, everything from 10-inch hi-hats to 16s, and everything in between. I got like 7 or 8 different rides that I pull from, and crashes and all that stuff.
Great. And you're still using Aquarian heads, right?
Yes, I am a lifelong Aquarian fan, dude. Chris Brady.
Talk me through, like, if you could have an ideal setup, well, like, what's your go-to? What's your favorite configuration?
My favorite configuration for cymbals has been my 16-inch K-Lite hats, which are just, they're so beautiful.
Butter.
20-inch K crash ride, like Elon Rubin style.
Yep.
22-inch K ride has been killer, and then maybe a 19-inch A medium thin or A thin.
Okay, cool.
But I pretty much keep it pretty bare bones as far as setup. Kick, 13-inch rack, 16-inch floor. One of my Dinettes snares.
22, 24-inch kick.
It's a 22. I'd like to get a 24, but those are really hard to find.
Yeah. Recording
Customs weren't super popular in the massive sizes. They were more like 20, 22. But right now, honestly, man, I'm playing that kit or the Steve Jordan kit or the Mchugh kit. I'm one of the few guys I know that is pretty comfortable playing small kits. And that Mchugh has like a 16-inch kick, and I freaking love it.
Cool, man. And then what are you using for heads for battery reso?
Yeah. So I use snare, anything from the high velocity to the coated response 2 to the texture coateds. All my toms are response 2 coated. That's just the best head. And then kick, anything from like a classic clear on the 16 to like a Force 1 to a super kick. Just kind of depends on the situation. But I'm a diehard Aquarian dude. I won't play anything else. I love them. And now,
then what separates Aquarian from Remo and Evans in your mind? Without getting mean, without getting
right.
Yeah.
No negativity. Remo has the ability to, because the way the collar sits, you can detune like the bottom, and it'll give a pitch bend, like a boo,
Yeah.
And the way the collar is on Aquarian, it fits already even. It's seated like that. So you don't really have to seat it. You don't have to pop it out of,
yes,
the seal. And the interesting thing is that back when I was working at Guitar Center, I had one of the Evans reps come in and tell me, and I already knew this to be true, but I found it really funny that he said it. They basically stole the Aquarian concept. The level 360 is just the same thing that Aquarian's been doing for the entirety of their business. He said, we just took it and marketed it better. That was like his words. Which is so funny to me. All these guys that would never play Aquarian are like just loving the new Evans. And I'm like, it's the same concept.
Dude.
So that was really funny.
It's so funny, man. I was actually on the phone with Luke Holland right before we got on the phone.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Luke and I were laughing about is this idea of like, good art is borrowed. Great art is stolen, right?
Yeah.
It's like something like that. But it's totally true, man, that sometimes, innovation stacks on top of other people's innovation. So that's cool, man.
Once again, I'm not bashing them. It's just, to me, Aquarian heads are the most musical.
Cool. Okay.
The pitch test is what they have. And it's, you tap on it and it actually has a definitive note.
Cool.
So like before you even tune a thing, it has a pitch. It just, to me, they last longer. And, going back to my mentor, Arthur, he never changed his heads. Like he'd leave a head on for a year or more. And I used to ask him, because another mentor of mine, Herman, he changes heads like every gig when he's on tour. And I'm like, well, one, that's incredibly expensive. And two, I couldn't do that, as a kid. And I asked Arthur, I was like, well, why don't you change out heads more? He's like, why? If they sound good, why?
Right.
And I'm like, whoa. So that still carries on. Like, I joke with my Aquarian rep. I'm like, I order heads like every other year.
Wow, that's amazing.
I keep backups, but I never found the need to change out heads. If it still sounds good, who cares?
Right.
And
there's guys then there's guys like Mr. Gillespie who
Oh, dude.
Dude, he goes through heads
where
like...
sticks, heads, and cymbals go to die.
Yeah, dude, it's amazing. It's phenomenal. It's actually so impressive to me that it's unreal. Anyways, continue on.
Dude, no, and so just Aquarian, they make very musical heads. My rep, Chris Brady's a super nice guy. And I just love the company, like the vibe. Even the logo has this really old school throwback vibe to me that I just love.
That matters, man. It's funny. It sounds dumb, but it matters.
It does, man. You know, like a lot of guys probably are in a huffy about the new Evans logo, you know, or like the Remo thing, the crown. Everyone knows the crown.
I love the crown.
You know, the crown. You know, and it's a branding thing, but for me, like that Aquarian thing, it just feels like home. You know, it just cool. I'm like, yeah, you know. Let's see. Other than that, Gator cases. My rep there, Brian, has been super amazing. Brian Larson, very supportive. Let's see. Simpad, those things. Rito Hershey. I met him actually a few years ago at the NAMM show. I was at this booth at Quibus. Was that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was showing him this like Latin beat, and Rito walked up to me afterwards, like, "Hey, man, I got these, and I'd love to, you to check them out and let me know what you think." And I forgot about them for months, and then I pulled them out, and I was like, "Okay, these are legit." And I hired them, and I've been with them ever since. And then I think that's it. Oh, the box kit Cajon. My buddy Josh Trask he's the inventor behind that, and he makes some very, very high-end cajones, as well as being a consultant and a builder for some other well-known percussion companies that shall remain nameless. Yeah, man, he's been super cool, very supportive of me, and he even sent out some stuff for my little library gigs that I've been doing for the kids.
Oh, cool, man. Well, dude, you know what? Great. I would love you to connect us because, and I'm doing this right in front of everybody on the podcast, but it'd be cool to connect with him. I've been seeing that.
Absolutely.
I think he actually reached out to Dave. 180 Dave on
180
Instagram,
Dave,
which is a huge point of laughing in our studio.
Dude, yeah,
180 Dave.
180 Dave.
Oh,
I can always tell when he's been on Instagram because he'll like 10 of my things right at once.
Sure.
But yeah, dude, Josh is a great guy. Man, honestly, man, I've been very, very blessed and fortunate to be hooked up with companies through people I respect. Tracy Broussard, hooked me up with Aquarian, and not to mean like I get free, but like he put in the word for me with Chris.
Yeah.
With Zildjian, it was an interesting idea, and like I'm going to share what I did. Hopefully, this doesn't mean that Emily and Sarah are getting bombarded, but I'll share how I was able to officially start my relationship with them. I had 4 or 5 of my friends and mentors that all had clout with the company. I'll email her on my behalf and say, "Hey, there's this guy. He's a turd, but he's not a total turd. So just hear him out." And what I did was I said, "Hey, I don't need anything from you guys. I have everything I need. I already have all Zildjian stuff. I just have a few cracked cymbals that if I could get them replaced, that'd be amazing." And that's how it started.
Amazing.
So I've been with Zildjian for about 3 years now, I guess, 2.5, 3 years.
Dude, that's really cool because you did not come at them asking for a single thing other than to just replace cymbals, and you certainly didn't come out saying, "Hey guys, you want to give me free stuff?"
Yeah. I can honestly say, man, I haven't approached any of them like that, and I've been very fortunate to not only have a good working relationship as far as the gear is concerned, but a good working relationship with all my reps.
Yeah.
I'd also like to make a shout out to Joe Testa, who was my rep at Vic Firth for 4.5 years, and even though he's not my rep, he's still an amazing dude. And of course, Rick Hughes from Crush, even though not necessarily with Crush anymore, still great guys, and I still love those guys.
Amazing. Dude, so awesome. Listen, man, you are the best. You have such a great perspective on life, such a great philosophy about chasing after your dreams and being relentless and being really honest with yourself along the way, man. So thank you so much for today, bro.
Dude, thank you so much for having me, bro. I've been looking forward to this for a while, so I was very, very happy to get to do it.
Dude, well, you know what? This will not be the last time. I know that things have been crazy busy for both you and I, but I'm really excited to see. So if you guys are listening to this and you have questions for Ben, you can comment in the box below if you're visiting 180drums.com/Ben Satterlee. Or what you can do is reach out to us and let us know, because I want to do this again with Ben, and I want to know what you guys are thinking. And check out Ben's social media account. So he's at And then do you want to make sure that I got this right? It's B-E Satterlee, right? Mm-hmm. What's the last two numbers?
77.
77. So at B-E Satterlee, again, 2 T's, 2 E's, and 77. And then the other thing is his Facebook page. Y'all gotta check this out.
Yeah. So I don't have a personal page anymore, but I do still post a lot of drum content on there. Just, new snares that I think are cool, or, did you hear who's playing this cymbal now? I don't know. I get to get my inner drum geek out.
I love
on
it.
That page.
And it's the facebook.com/what?
I think it's just Ben Satterlee. It was Ben Satterlee's drum page, and then I changed the name just Ben Satterlee. I'll have to look and get back to you on that one.
I believe it's still Ben Satterlee's drum page, but either way, or Ben's drum page, but either way, I'm going to link it in the show notes so you guys can check it out there and have all that there. And Ben's going to send us a massive archive of pictures of everything, and we're just gonna have a blast with it. Throw up some Instagram vids, the whole deal.
Yeah, and they can message me there as well.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely, man. That's awesome. Well, dude, thank you so much, man. And we got to get you in at 180 again. That's something that we have been talking about. It's a crazy season. I actually just had to call off another instructor we were going to have back. It's been a crazy time just because we're working on so many different ways we want to expand the website's features and its functionality right now.
Absolutely.
But dude, why don't you really quickly, just for like 20 seconds, because I don't want it to be a sales pitch, but talk about your experience at 180. Like, what do you think is beneficial about 180 drums for students?
I think it's honestly one of the very first sites that I've gotten to see that is so user content friendly. All the instructors are accessible. They're not just like these guys from on high that are brought in for this brief moment. Everybody was super professional. The studio was killer. The drums were great. The jams and jellies, dude. Come on, bro.
Come on.
Dude, I got to get some more of that jelly, bro.
Guys, he's talking about physical jelly.
Physical jelly.
I just posted a picture the other day of me and my buddy being at the restaurant. I took Ben to this place called De La Terre. It's in this small town in Canada. It's this beautiful restaurant that's like homegrown, everything ingredients, farm raised, local meat. It's amazing. And they had this jelly. And Ben's like, they let us sample some of it. Ben brought home a thing right away and was like, dude, you have to send me more jelly, man.
Yeah. I don't even know if that was legal to bring it back in, but I brought in 2 jars. I sent one to a rep, and then I still have some of that jelly left.
Do you really?
I've used it that sparingly.
Wow.
Like it's for special occasions.
Literally a year. Literally a year-old jelly.
But dude, more than anything, man, the vibe of the family, vibe of 180 drums is so crucial. And there's guys that are constantly posting like 180, like the Jeff Randalls, or like the is it Buck August? Is that his name?
Buck August. Buck,
dude,
hearing this, man?
He's all about 180, and I freaking love that, man. I want that to continue, and I want that to grow because there's people that are getting inspired not only by the music, the musicians and the content, but also by like the access and the constant barrage of content and photos and video, and like it's necessary, man. It's all positivity, it's all love, and it's all about building each other up and growing. Guys and girls and anybody, moms and dads, anybody who wants to learn can and should and has access to it, and it's affordable.
Wow. Dude, thank you so much, man. That's awesome. And speaking of community, there's actually something as soon as we get off this podcast that I want to pick your brain about. So hopefully by the time this podcast is out, you guys are seeing some deeper attempts being made toward community and really tying a bunch of really great drummers together, because so far the interaction has been amazing with the 180 family, and having guys like you in it, Ben, is just a real joy for me, because actually, this is something that's worth mentioning in my mind, because Ben was one of the first people to stand behind the vision that I had for 180 drums when it was just an idea, when we hadn't bought a single camera, when we hadn't done anything other than talk about it, both the co-founder, Steve Augustine, and myself. And I remember Ben was like, I had a couple names written down of initial drummers that I wanted in, and Ben was this guy that I just met in Nashville, and I'd seen his stuff on YouTube, and I just thought he was a good dude. And I reached out to him, and he was one of the first guys to really get on board, and one of the first guys to come in and tape lessons at the studio. And we love you, dude. Like, I'm so grateful, man. So grateful for you. So grateful for your investment in what we've done. And, knowing that 180 Drums, as it, God willing, continues to grow and be influential and life-changing, that you're a huge part of that, man.
Dude, well, thank you so much for having me, man. And I feel very blessed and very honored to get to be a part of it. And I'm stoked to see that it's continuing to grow and that, it's only getting better.
Dude, you're the best. All right, man. Well, we will talk to you on the podcast again soon.
All right, bro. Thanks for having me, man.
Wow. Guys, come on. First of all, you guys need to reach out to Ben Satterlee and thank him for taking his Thanksgiving. He just took 2 hours and spent it with us. Poured into us, poured into the podcast, gave us great info, spoke super highly of 180 Drums. He's just an amazing dude. We're so thankful for Ben. And what I want to encourage you guys to notice is this. Pay attention to, listen to it again, listen to this podcast a couple times, and pay attention to how Ben is encouraging you to chase your dreams, because the only way to accomplish the things that you dream of accomplishing is to take big risks to go after them. So, for example, he moved to Nashville, got rid of everything that was comfortable in, his hometown, took all these chances, and still faces daily discouragement, daily challenges, but he's continuing to strive, continuing to press in, and doing things like street performing when he needs to make sure that they can afford to have a baby in their home. So, guys, I hope that you're just incredibly moved by this, challenged by this, and please comment. Please head to 180drums.com/Ben Satterlee if you're listening to this on the iTunes podcast, or you're listening to this any other place that the podcast is located. Make sure you head there and leave a comment. We want to know what you guys think. We want to know how you're enjoying these podcasts. And we also want to answer your questions. So, take a look at the body of text here on the 180 Drums site and look at the fact that, Ben's info's here. He wants you to reach out to him. He wants you to engage in conversation. So, guys, we love y'all. We're super grateful that we get to do this week after week, and that we get to run a company like 180 Drums. Again, if you guys haven't checked out 180 Drums, I'd encourage you to. I'm not trying to sales pitch it because, we just want the company to be big for no reason. We really are excited about equipping and engaging the next generation of drummers and drummers currently looking to grow their ability. We're looking to equip them with the best tools possible for success, so that when you move to a city like Ben's describing, you're ready, you're prepared, or if you just want to learn to play, you have the tools that are going to teach you the things that you're the most excited to learn most easily and save you the most time and money doing it. So, guys, awesome. We will see you in the next podcast. Later.
Mr. Randolph, episode 4.